Most men think women choose husbands based on surface-level things: money, looks, or status. But if that were true, every wealthy man would have a happy marriage and every good-looking guy would never be left. Reality proves otherwise. A man can have the best career, the sharpest suits, and the most charming personality, and still get overlooked for marriage. Why? Because what truly makes a man marriage material isn't what most men spend their lives chasing. The truth is, women can admire your confidence, enjoy your sense of humor, and even fall for your charm. But those things alone don't guarantee commitment. What separates a fun boyfriend from a future husband are hidden qualities that most men don't realize women are quietly evaluating from day one. These qualities aren't always flashy, but they reveal whether you're capable of building a life, not just living in the moment. This is where so many men get it wrong. They work hard to impress, but not to sustain. They learn how to attract, but not how to endure. And marriage at its core is about endurance. It's about whether you can handle the storms, the conflicts, the years of change, while still showing up as a partner she can depend on. So if you've ever wondered why women see some men as just for now and others as forever, it comes down to these hidden qualities, the traits that turn attraction into lifelong commitment. 1. Emotional stability. A lot of men confuse confidence with stability. They believe if they walk into a room with swagger, crack jokes, and carry themselves like the most interesting man alive, women will automatically see them as long-term material. And yes, confidence can spark attraction, but it doesn't guarantee security. What truly sets a man apart for marriage is emotional stability, the ability to remain steady, grounded, and reliable no matter what life throws at him. Think about it. A woman doesn't just want someone who can shine at parties or post impressive wins online. She wants to know if you can stay calm when she's stressed, if you can handle disappointment without lashing out, and if you can listen without turning everything into a competition. Emotional stability is about balance. Not being so cold that you feel unreachable, but not being so reactive that every disagreement feels like a battlefield. Men who lack this often struggle in long-term relationships. They take every small issue personally, blow up when things don't go their way, or retreat completely when emotions get intense. Over time, this creates an environment where a woman feels more like she's raising a child than building with a partner. Consider this. A man loses his job unexpectedly. One response is panic, blaming everyone and shutting his partner out. Another response is acknowledging the setback, communicating openly, and reassuring her that he's focused on finding a solution. Same crisis, two very different impressions. The second man shows stability, and that's what makes her think, this is someone I can actually build a life with. Flashy confidence may get attention, but emotional stability earns trust, and trust is the foundation of marriage. 2. The ability to handle conflict without destroying connection. Every relationship, no matter how perfect it looks on the outside, will face conflict. Arguments, disagreements, and misunderstandings are not a sign of failure. They're a sign that two people are trying to merge their lives, and that's never seamless. But here's what separates a man who's good for now from a man who's truly marriage material. He knows how to handle conflict without tearing the relationship apart in the process. Too many men approach conflict in extremes. Some explode, turning every small issue into a dramatic war. Others shut down completely, refusing to talk, thinking silence is the safest way to avoid problems. Both extremes create damage. Women don't need a man who never argues. They need a man who can disagree without making her feel unsafe, unloved, or unheard. Handling conflict the right way means keeping your ego in check. It's not about winning the argument. It's about protecting the connection while still addressing the issue. A woman feels secure when she knows that even in heated moments, you're not going to insult her, dismiss her feelings, or storm off and disappear. Picture this. A couple disagrees about money. One man snaps, "You're always careless with spending," and storms out. Another man says, "I'm worried about our budget. Can we sit down together and figure out where it's going wrong?" The first response pushes her away, plants resentment, and weakens the bond. The second response, even though it's still addressing a tough issue, shows control, respect, and care for the relationship itself. Marriage doesn't demand perfection, it demands maturity. The man who can walk through conflict without burning bridges shows that he values the connection more than his pride. That's the kind of man a woman sees herself with for life. 3. Consistency in actions, not just promises. A man's words can win attention, but it's his actions that prove his worth. Women hear promises all the time. "I'll change, I'll be there, I'll take care of it." But over time, words without follow-through lose their weight. What makes a man stand out as truly marriage material isn't how well he talks about the future, but how consistently he shows up in the present. Consistency builds trust. When your actions line up with what you say, she feels secure in knowing she can depend on you. It's not about grand gestures or flashy declarations. It's about the simple, repeated choices that show reliability. The man who says, "I'll call you after work," and actually does it every time, slowly builds more trust than the man who makes big promises but keeps breaking them. The problem with inconsistency is that it creates doubt. A woman starts asking herself, "Can I really count on him? Will he be there when it matters most?" And once those questions take root, the relationship shifts. She may still like you, she may even love you, but she won't see you as someone she can build a stable marriage with. Imagine this. One man tells his partner, "I'll support you through your big exam." But on the day, he forgets or gets distracted. Another man makes the same promise, but he shows up with coffee, gives her encouragement, and checks in after. The difference is not in the words. Both made the same promise. The difference is in the consistency of follow-through. Marriage isn't about one-time effort. It's about proving day after day that you are reliable. And the men who understand this simple truth separate themselves from the crowd. 4. Protecting without becoming controlling. One of the strongest instincts men carry into relationships is the desire to protect. It's natural to want to shield the woman you love from harm, guide her through challenges, and make her feel safe in your presence. That protective nature is not only valuable, it's attractive. But here's where many men lose their balance. They confuse protection with control. And when that line is crossed, what once made her feel cherished starts making her feel suffocated. Being protective means providing reassurance and stability, but it doesn't mean deciding how she should live her life. A man who is truly marriage material understands that his role is not to limit her independence, but to strengthen it. He doesn't use the excuse of caring to justify monitoring her every move, questioning every decision, or making her feel as if she needs permission to be herself. At the same time, he doesn't swing to the other extreme and act detached, ignoring her needs under the banner of letting her do her thing. Marriage demands a balance. A husband needs to be a safe place, someone she knows will stand up for her if life gets tough, but also someone who respects her enough to let her handle her own battles when she chooses. Men often fear that giving a woman space means she won't need them anymore. In reality, the opposite is true. When she feels trusted and free, she values your presence even more. Protection should feel like partnership, not prison. And the man who gets this right, who can stand strong beside her without trying to control her every step, is the man she sees as someone worth walking with for life. 5. The strength to grow with, not away from, a partner. One of the most overlooked truths about marriage is that it's not a static commitment. People change, life changes, circumstances shift in ways you can't always predict. And the man who makes himself marriage material isn't the one who promises to stay the same forever, but the one who shows the strength to grow alongside his partner. Too many men resist growth in relationships. They settle into patterns, cling to old habits, and assume that who they were 5 years ago should be good enough forever. But women notice when a man stops evolving. They notice when he no longer invests in himself, when he ignores new challenges, or when he refuses to adapt to the demands of family, career, or personal life. Over time, this stagnation creates distance, not because love disappears, but because connection fades when one person is moving forward and the other refuses to. Growth in a relationship doesn't mean losing yourself. It doesn't mean sacrificing your identity to keep the peace. It means being willing to stretch, to adapt, and to improve so that the bond you share doesn't get left behind as life progresses. A marriage thrives when both people are committed to becoming better versions of themselves, individually and together. A man who grows with his partner shows resilience. He communicates differently when he realizes old patterns don't work anymore. He learns how to balance ambition with presence. He becomes flexible when life throws unexpected turns, but he does it without abandoning his principles. That kind of strength reassures a woman that she won't have to drag him forward or beg him to keep up. Instead, she sees him as someone who can walk beside her through every season of life. 6. Financial responsibility. Without arrogance. Money plays a major role in long-term relationships, but not in the way many men assume. A lot of guys think being marriage material means making the most money, flexing achievements, or proving they can provide at the highest level. And while financial stability matters, it's not wealth alone that makes a man stand out. It's responsibility. Women pay close attention to how a man manages his resources, not because they're chasing status, but because money reflects discipline, priorities, and foresight. A man who is careless with his finances, who spends without thought or constantly drowns in debt, sends a clear signal. He may live for the moment, but he struggles to prepare for the future. On the other hand, a man who takes responsibility, who budgets, plans, and invests wisely, shows that he is building with intention. That quality speaks louder than any paycheck. But responsibility is only one side of it. The other is humility. Arrogance over money, flaunting earnings, belittling others, or using finances as control, erodes respect quickly. Marriage is not about one partner dominating with resources, but about creating a stable environment where both people feel secure and valued. A man who understands this never uses money as a weapon. Instead, he sees it as a tool to build, to protect, and to provide a foundation for the life they're creating together. What makes this powerful is balance. He doesn't need to prove his worth through constant spending, nor does he shrink into insecurity if he isn't the highest earner. He carries his financial role with quiet confidence, knowing that stability speaks louder than arrogance ever could. That's what makes a man not just attractive, but trustworthy for the future. 7. Respect for her independence. While maintaining his own, one of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships is believing that love means ownership. Too many men fall into the trap of thinking that once she chooses you, her entire world should revolve around you. They confuse closeness with control, and in doing so, they choke the very independence that made her attractive in the first place. Here's the reality. Women don't want to lose themselves in marriage, and they don't want a man who loses himself either. If your life shrinks down to nothing but her, you stop being the man she respected in the first place. And if you demand that she shrink her world just to make you feel secure, you're showing weakness, not leadership. Men need to wake up to this truth. A strong woman values a partner who respects her independence while also standing firm in his own. She doesn't need a babysitter, and she doesn't want a shadow. She wants someone who encourages her to chase her goals while still pursuing his own with the same fire. Too many men end up either clinging too tightly or disappearing completely. Both are mistakes. Cling too tightly and you look insecure. Disappear and you look uninterested. The balance lies in partnership. Two people who maintain their own identities but choose to share their lives fully. If you want to be seen as marriage material, you can't suffocate her dreams, and you can't abandon yours either. Respecting independence doesn't weaken the bond, it strengthens it. It creates a relationship where both people grow, not one person dragging the other down. A man who understands this is not just a boyfriend, he's a husband in the making. 8. The courage to be vulnerable without losing masculinity. Many men fear vulnerability because they've been taught that showing emotion is a weakness. They believe real men must always be strong, unshakable, and in control. But the truth is, emotional courage, the ability to open up without losing your sense of self, is one of the most powerful traits a man can have, especially in a long-term relationship. Marriage is not built on perfection. It's built on connection, trust, and honesty. A man who can express his fears, admit when he's wrong, or share his dreams without hiding behind a mask shows strength, not weakness. Vulnerability doesn't make you less of a man. It makes you a partner she can trust, a partner she can rely on through good times and bad. The problem is that too many men confuse vulnerability with surrender. They open up just enough to feel manly, but they hold back the real depth. Others shut down completely, refusing to share their inner world at all. The men who stand out are the ones who find the balance, willing to reveal their hearts while still taking responsibility, leading where needed, and protecting the relationship with steady hands. A woman notices when a man can be real with her, when he talks about fears, ambitions, or doubts, without becoming overly dramatic or dependent. That honesty, paired with grounded confidence, is magnetic. It signals that he's not just present for the good times, but ready to face life's challenges openly and together. Courageous vulnerability is the hidden key that separates a boyfriend from a husband in the making. A man who masters this shows that he can share his life fully, not just superficially. And that's the essence of being truly marriage material. Here's a reality that most men refuse to accept. Being attractive or successful doesn't automatically make you marriage material. In fact, the truth is far more uncomfortable. Most men who think they're ready for marriage aren't, because they lack the hidden qualities women are silently evaluating from day one. Confidence, money, and charm can get attention, but they won't earn trust, respect, or long-term commitment. That's the controversial part. Many men are chasing the wrong markers, while the traits that actually matter go unnoticed. I want to hear from you. Have you experienced relationships where you gave your all but still felt like something was missing? Or have you ever wondered why some men just naturally become seen as husband material while others are left on the sidelines? Drop your experiences in the comments below. I personally read them, and I make it a point to reach out to people to connect, discuss, and help them understand these dynamics better. If this video opened your eyes, and you want to understand more about reading a woman's true intentions, click on the video on the screen right now, where I talk about the signs she gives when she's not actually interested, signs most men completely miss. This knowledge could save you heartache and wasted time. It's definitely worth your attention.